Hey friend, welcome. If we haven't met yet, I'm Jen. I'm a part-time online clothing reseller, which means I go to thrift stores, I buy used clothes, I list them on eBay and Poshmark, and I sell them, hopefully for a profit. Today is March 1st, which means we've just completed February. It is over. And I'm kind of glad about it. Today, I want to share with you all of my February numbers and how much I actually made reselling. Before I get into the numbers, I just want to kind of share my context in case you don't know me. I am a stay-at-home mom. I have 4 kids. I homeschool my kids. I resell to supplement our family budget. It is extra money for us. It is important money for us. But I'm not paying our mortgage. I'm not buying food with this. My husband works full-time and supports our family that way. I pay for all the extra stuff. So dance, piano lessons, violin lessons, volleyball fees, all the extra stuff that comes along with having a family of 6. Most of my money is the extra stuff. So vacations, if we want to do something in the house, that's what my money is for, so to speak. So I just want to share that with you. I'm not aiming to be a full-time reseller. That's not my goal. My goal is just to do this to supplement our family. All right, so I will start by sharing with you that February was tough for me. It was not a good month. First of all, it's short. It's like 2 to 3 days shorter than the other months. I started out the month sick. I don't know that had anything to do with it, but I did. And yeah, in general, my goal is $2,000 per month. So that's about $67 a day, depending on the month. February, obviously, that needs to be recalculated, but spoiler alert, I didn't make that. So $2,000 a month in profit is my goal. About a quarter of that goes in savings for taxes because this is taxable income. No matter how much you make, any income is taxable. Then about a quarter of it I put into the rest of I put back into my business. So I buy inventory with that. I buy shipping supplies. I pay for subscriptions, and we'll talk about those in detail in a little bit. Then the rest of the money goes into our family's budget. So hopefully $1,000 a month. Over the past year, that has consistently been true within, $100, $200, maybe $300. Yeah, like I said, February was rough. It was real low for me. My gross sales amount for February 2025 is $2,438.23. When I subtract all the fees that I pay for the platforms, any shipping that I've paid, and my cost of goods for the items that sold, my profit is $1,483.35. Now, there are other things that come out of that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So I listed 128 items this month. Towards the beginning of the month, I've only been listing 5 items, and then I started increasing that to 7, and then now I'm at about 8 items. I think I said a month, a day, per day. 5 items per day, and now I'm at 8 items per day. As my sales were kind of tanking this month, I thought that maybe increasing, as I was looking at February from 2024, I realized I was listing 10 items a day last year. And I had been through maybe mid-November. Once the holidays hit, I just backed down to 5 items a day. It just decreased my listing time significantly. I was doing something else different, which again, I'll talk about in a bit with the relisting. And so as my sales were really bad this month, I thought, you know what can I do differently that might help to increase my sales this month, and then hopefully March, April, they'll continue to get better. And the small things that I can do are, one, find things that will sell faster with higher average sale prices, which in my context is hard for me to do, and or list more items. And so I decided to list more items. I did have quite a back stock for a while, even through probably just a couple weeks ago. I finally got my backlog of things that I had gotten prior to the holidays all photographed and listed finally. And now I just have like 60 items for this coming week, and I feel good about that. So I listed 128 items in February. I only sold 92. Generally, that's more around the 120 range. My average sale price is higher this month. It is $26.50. I had a couple really big sales towards the beginning of the month, and so that definitely helped. The other thing is, in November and December and in January, I had clearance sales. I was clearancing out items that I had listed in 2023. And so because of that, my average sale price had gone down to like $23, $24. And so now it's back up. It usually, I would say over the past year, has averaged around that 26, probably between $25 and $27 per item. So I did mean to look. I'm going to do that. I had to use the calculator on my phone, which you're on. So I didn't get the phone back in the right spot. So if it's off, that's why. I wanted to check. I had meant to do it and forgot. My average profit per item. If you watch my videos on a regular basis, I usually do ship with me videos where I ship the items that I've actually sold the day prior. And I often will say my goal is $15 per item in profit, just to value my time. Time is worth something. I don't think that has to be that amount for everyone, but that's what it is for me. So I was just kind of curious what my average profit was per item, and it's $16.12. So I'm glad about that. I love that it's just a little bit over what my goal is. There are definitely things that I sell that are under that $15 profit goal, but thankfully some items are also above that. So some interesting kind of numbers. Again, I probably should have said this at the beginning to kind of get my context. I sell primarily clothes. It's like 99 point something % of clothes of the items that I sell. Mostly women's clothes. My top categories were tops, sweaters, dresses, and then button-up men's shirts and coats, women's coats. And then my top categories were vintage, Torrid, Banana Republic, Catherine's, and unbranded, which is kind of weird. I try really hard actually not to sell unbranded items, but it happens occasionally. Something that I found really interesting is over the past, I would say 6 months, maybe even more than that, the percentage of items that I sell on eBay has been between 62 and 70%. So 62% to 70% of the items that I sell on eBay. eBay is what I sell, my primary platform, right? And then it's usually Poshmark. I do sell a little bit on Depop, and then a few months ago I added Curtsy, and I sell minusculely on there, and I'll show you here in a minute, or I'll tell you. So usually about 62 to 70% on eBay. In February, it was only 52%. Only 52% of the items that I sold on eBay, which is very interesting to me. Poshmark was 31%, Depop was 14%, and then 3% of the items that I sold on Curtsy. So there's that. All right, now I told you my profit was $14.83.35. However, I do have other expenses. I did not do much thrifting this month. I had, like I said, I had a lot of backlog still from right around Christmas time, and I just didn't need to go. I also, like I said at the beginning of the month, was pretty sick for a while, and a few of the, yeah, that's correct. I just had a thought of like, oh my goodness. That I thought I forgot something, but I didn't. That was in January. Time kind of goes blah, blah, blah in my head. Anyway, yeah, this happens frequently. I get a little off the rails. Where am I going with this? I don't know. Anyway, I spent $163.56 on inventory. Now, I do count my cost of goods kind of twice, and I don't do that for tax purposes. I just do it for these purposes. It's probably not the right way to do it, but that's the way I do it. It pads my profit in the negative way. Like, it pads it so that it's a little less than it actually is. I don't know. Just so you know, I count my cost of goods twice. I count the cost of goods in what I sold and then also in what I've brought in. If you have questions about that, please let me know, but that's how I do it. I have subscriptions that I pay for. So I pay for my eBay store. Right now, my store is, I forget what it's called. I looked it up and then just completely forgot again, but it's the $60 one. It's the third tier. And honestly, I could go down, but unfortunately the way I paid for it, I paid for like a year. And so I can't actually go down, which is a little frustrating that I did that, but I did. I also pay for Vendoo. That's what I use for all my inventory storage information. So my inventory management system. There we go. I knew I'd figure it out. So, you know, it tells me what my item is, where I bought it, how much I bought it for, how long I've had it, what SKU number it is in. I use a SKU system. So I have items that have a number on them, and that number goes into that inventory management system within Vendoo. I also use Vendoo for cross-listing. I cross-list to Poshmark and to Depop. I keep thinking about adding Mercari, but honestly, it's just, I don't know. Should I add Mercari? What do you think? Do you have thoughts on that? I have currently the 125. I get 125 listings per month. That's new listings. So either imported from eBay, or I just put them in new. I start everything in Vendoo. I also pay for PrimeLister, and I use PrimeLister to share and do offers, send offers on Poshmark. So that also is a cross-listing tool in inventory management system. I don't know why I don't use them combined, but I don't. Anyway, I had to pay for my P.O. box this month. It was expiring, and so I paid $94 for that. That is a 6-month rental for my post office box at my local post office. And I had to pay a babysitter this month. Often I have teenage daughters that will help with my younger kids. They get compensated in other ways. But I had planned to thrift one day and needed to, because I just didn't have very much. Like I said, I had kind of gotten through my pile of my backlog from Christmas. And so I was needing items, and so I was needing to go, and it was a half off day at a local thrift, and then also the one day a week that my favorite thrift stores open. And so I'd already planned to go. It was the only time I could go, and then both of my teenage daughters were like, oh, we have other plans. And I like to give them the freedom to have other plans as much as I can. So I did pay babysitter $30 to stay with my little kids for a few hours when I went thrifting. I don't know if I can count that on my taxes, but it is, for me, a business expense. I am also paying my teenage daughter to take photographs for me. So she takes pictures of all my pants, skirts, shorts, anything that can be hung on a clippy hanger. She does for me. It was just easier for me to teach her how to do, you know, one set of things fairly well. She does pretty great for a 17-year-old. I'm not sad about it. they're not perfect, but the pictures I take aren't perfect either. So I don't expect her to be perfect. She is kind of starting slow. She's just done 2 weeks and she just did 12 items per week. So I paid her $24 this month. And I also I used tissue paper to wrap all my items in, and I was out of that. So I had to order some of that at the beginning of the month. That was $34.23. I just bought it on Amazon. So my total expenses, non-inventory, were $292.23. There are other expenses, right? Some things that I can claim on my taxes, like gas, mileage, and, you know, there are some, because I work out of my home, there are some, you know, expenses that I can claim. I'm not a tax professional. I don't ever want to pretend to be one. If you have questions about taxes, my biggest answer is talk to your tax professional. Get an accountant. It makes things so much less stressful. Less stressful. That's what I was trying to say. So my total expenses with the inventory was $455.79. So if I subtract that from my profit of $1,483.35, my actual profit is only $1,027.56. Usually I go through and I kind of break that down to how much I've made per hour. I decided not to do that to myself this month because I don't think it's going to be great. And I just would prefer to like my job still. And I do right now. So I will tell you that at the most, I work 25 hours a week. If I do that generally, not in February, it has been roughly between $16 to $19 an hour. I very rarely actually work 25 hours a week. And when I do, it's usually kind of interrupted and broken up. And because I'm able to work at home and my kids are here and my laundry is here. So I might be taking pictures and then I go and I grab a load of laundry and switch, or I break up a sibling squabble, or I help someone with homework. Or, well, we homeschool, it's all homework, but help someone with schoolwork, or maybe, I don't know, stop and have a conversation with my husband. And there's oftentimes, like, yesterday was really busy. I didn't get to my listing during my normal time that I would list on a regular basis. And so my husband and I were just kind of snuggled on the couch watching a show, and I was doing my listings. And so a lot of times my work doesn't necessarily feel like work. However, the caveat to that is because my work is here, it's always here. So there's always something I can be doing. So I didn't really plan to talk about this, but I think it's important. And one thing, I've had a couple people ask in the comments before, like, how do you manage your time? I don't know that I'm suitable to talk about that. I don't know that I'm the most productive person. But one thing that helps me a ton is time blocking. And I thought it was funny because Kaylee Elaine just talked about it a couple days ago. That's where my computer is, where I put my YouTube on. That's why I pointed that way. She's not standing there. That would be weird. But I've used time blocking for years, and that has helped tremendously. So I have a certain block of time that is my work time. And when it's not my work time, I really try hard to not work and to not worry about work. So, yeah. Oh, I was going to break down my hours. So at the most, I work about 25 hours a week. Like I said, it's usually much less than that. I ship, every day, Monday through Saturday, generally, and at most it takes me an hour a day, so that's 6 hours a week. I list daily, Monday through Saturday. At most, that takes me an hour a day, so that's another 6 hours, so we're at 12 hours. I take photographs. Generally, I do those in chunks 2 days a week, and so I do them in like 3-hour blocks. And that's when I just batch take photos of the things that I've bought while I'm thrifting. And so that's another 6 hours. So that's 18 hours. And then I generally spend about 6 hours thrifting a week at most. Sometimes it's way less and sometimes it's way more, because sometimes I'll go to another town and that adds a lot of time. So again, another 6 hours, that's actually 24 hours. So often it's a lot less because the shipping doesn't always take me an hour. The listing doesn't always take me an hour. The photographing doesn't always take as much time as I set aside for it. And then again, the thrifting, it can just vary. There's also times, you know, like if I'm dropping a kid off somewhere, I might, you know, I dropped my daughter off at dance a couple days ago and then ran into the thrift store that's not that far from there. And you know, anyway, I have thought like maybe I should actually like keep track of my hours, but I don't know that I want to do that. Somebody always asks, so I'm going to tell you, I made $529 on YouTube. That's Google AdSense. I do make a little bit with affiliates, Prime Lister, Vendu, and Amazon, but it's like not very much a month, just like $20 or something like that. So those are the numbers for February. It was abysmal, dismal, both of those things. But I made it through. We're moving on. March is a new day, a new month. It's a new month is what it is. So I have two other things I want to tell you. One is just like I can't believe this even happened. I woke up this morning and I have 3 Chanel items that I found in the bins over the summer, and not anything happening with them. Somebody made a pretty low offer on one of the items and I don't remember if I declined it. I think I counter offered it. Well, I woke up this morning to an offer, like a decent one. It was one of the items I had listed for $800 and they offered $515. And I went out to my husband and I was like, they offered $515, and he was like, take that. And I was like, yeah, I think so too. And I went in, because so it popped up in my email that I had this offer. And so then it says respond to offer. So I clicked on the respond to offer and they had canceled the offer 26 minutes prior. That's so frustrating to me. So frustrating to me, but that's okay. Moving on. I just wanted to share that because you're my friend and who else am I going to share it with? That might maybe you won't understand, but maybe you might understand that would have been an amazing sale to start March off with. But the other thing I wanted to share with you is I'm going to do a listing challenge again. Yay, maybe. I don't know. The last time it was a lot of fun. It was just motivation, encouragement, accountability. It just was really fun to kind of encourage everyone in the comments and people encouraging me in the comments. And yeah, it was really good. So I liked it. I hope that you will like it. If you want to, you can, that was weird. If you want to, you can join. If not, no big deal. Here are the rules. The rules are, you pick your rules. What is your listing challenge going to be for you? And then stick with it and check in occasionally. Tell me how you're doing. Tell everybody how you're doing. Are you sticking with it? Is it hard? And then here's the caveat, the big but, if you will. If you mess up, you have 2 choices. One, you can go back and catch up. So say you get sick and you miss 2 days. You can the next 2 days, list double to make up for that day, those 2 days. You can do that. That's totally fine. Or you can give yourself grace and move on. So say I don't know, something happens and you have a horrible, awful day and you were not able to do any of your listings and you just decide that you just don't even want to deal and you want to move on. So you say, you know what? That's okay. We all have bad days and I'm going to move on. And that's what you do. So those are the rules. They're pretty, you know, I don't know the word I'm looking for. So I'll just do this. Anyway, my listing challenge. I'm going to continue listing 8 items a day on eBay. I'm going to continue cross-listing 8 items to Poshmark and 5 items to Depop.
I'm covered in dog hair.
Okay. The difference for me is actually going to be the delisting and relisting. Unlisting and selling similar. However you want to say that. Unlisting. Let's go to the door, sorry. So, for a long time, I was delisting and relisting using the bulk tool on Vendu, and you can do it however you want if you choose to do it. Some people don't, and that's totally fine too. But what I was doing, that was interesting. What I was doing was actually going in and making sure that everything was correct. Well, over the holidays, I just didn't have enough time to do that. And so I just did it automatically. I hit delist and relist and just had it cycle through, and it just delisted and relisted everything exactly the same as it was before. Well, now with the new condition changes on eBay, and just knowing that I make mistakes all the time, and knowing that comps change all the time, I really want to be intentional about making sure that my listings are good and good to go. So my goal is to do between 20 and 30 items a day. I really would like to get to 30, but I'm concerned that I'm not going to have enough time to do that. So I'm going to say 20 for now, but if I can work up to 30, if I can get faster at it while still being consistent and correct, then I'll work my way up to 30. But I think if I can do 30 a day, it gets me almost through my whole inventory through the month of March. But if I can only do 20, I think it's 700. I forget the numbers. I wrote them down somewhere. But hold, give me just a minute. I'm almost done. I know. Okay. So let me know if you're in. If you're in, say I'm in the comments. You can tell me what your goal is, or you can tell me tomorrow after you have a moment to think about it. That's fine. If you're seeing this and it's March 6th or 10th or whatever, you can still join. That's fine. Being consistent is the goal, the key. Encouraging each other and motivating each other and having some accountability, I think, is really important in this little business. So thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you like the video. If you liked it, subscribe. If you haven't already, like I said, I usually do a ship with me video where I ship these items that I've sold. So unfortunately, I won't have Chanel to show you tomorrow morning. No, not tomorrow, Monday, but hopefully it'll be something good. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'll see you soon.